Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And today we're talking about 5 beginner-friendly bourbons that we think you should try.
Welcome back to the channel, bringing real-world content to the real-world whiskey consumer.
Today we're talking beginner-friendly bourbons, which is a topic near and dear to our hearts. But before we get into that, Erin, how are you doing? What are you drinking?
I am good. I just had pizza for dinner, so I'm a happy girl.
We know your hierarchy of love on this earth is pizza number 1, warm carbs, sleep, and then I'm number 3.
You might be between pizza and sleep.
Okay, but pizza's first.
Probably.
Okay, so you're doing good.
I'm good.
You've got pizza in you.
I have
good.
pizza in my belly, so I'm happy.
Good deal. Good
Yeah.
deal. And what are you drinking?
Well, we're going to talk about what I'm drinking. So,
And we'll also mention what I'm drinking.
so maybe we should save that.
We will save what we're drinking. We'll
Okay.
get into that in a minute.
But how are you?
I'm doing good. I've also have pizza, and I love pizza quite a lot. Not
Yeah.
quite as much as you do, but I do love me a good pizza. So I'm doing well. I'm super excited about this topic because like I said, it's near and dear to our hearts. We were beginner-friendly bourbon shoppers for quite a long time. Me, well over a decade. I would go and try to find beginner-friendly bourbons.
Yeah.
I didn't want anything too high a proof. I didn't want anything that, I didn't want to waste my money. Who wants to waste their money?
I don't want to waste
when you're
my
buying.
money.
So we've got 5 selections for you guys and an honorable mention or 2. And we're calling this beginner-friendly bourbons because they're not necessarily budget. They are on the lower cost side of things, but I don't think it serves the beginner whiskey consumer very well to go out and buy the cheapest thing possible, because when you do that, you're getting a very low quality product.
Well, you can be getting a very low quality.
You can be, and that could completely put you off to a whiskey entirely. You might actually really like bourbon, but you might go out and buy something really inexpensive off the bottom shelf for $10, and it might taste horrible to you, and you might think all bourbon is terrible, and that's just not the case.
Yep.
I did try to keep budget conscious options in mind when making this list.
Okay, well, let's get into it. I'm excited.
This is
to
part
hear.
1 of 2. I'm the bourbon guy, so this is my list, and we're gonna have a follow-up video to this with ryes because Erin is a rye gal. So she'll run point on that video, but I'm gonna run point on this video.
Okay.
So if you're interested in getting into bourbon, this is gonna be an unpopular opinion.
Oh,
This is gonna be an unpopular opinion.
Scandalous.
But I think if someone expresses an interest in bourbon, the very first bourbon they should try, if they've never tried bourbon before or they've tried a few things and not really loved it, I think your very first stop should be Basil Hayden's.
Okay, why?
Basil Hayden's is an 80 proof whiskey, which is as low as bourbon can possibly be. It says right here on the label that, where does it say it? It's like, they talk about how smooth it is, but it really is. It smells wonderful. To me, being a little bit more of a seasoned whiskey drinker, it tastes way, way, way too tame. But the classic bourbon flavors are there.
Okay.
They're intact. They're just very, very muted down. And so you can take something like this, 80 proof, you can pour it for someone, even pour it over ice if you want. And it's a very friendly introduction. This is a very, very friendly bourbon.
Okay.
It's not going to hurt anybody's
We'll come
feelings.
up and shake your hands. Is that friendly?
It will.
Okay,
It's
cool.
it's nice. It'll smile at you. It'll hold the door open for you.
Ooh, what a gentleman.
It is a very, very approachable bourbon.
Okay.
And I think this needs to be stop number 1 for any bourbon lover. Now, the reason this doesn't make a lot of beginner-friendly lists or budget lists is because it's not really a budget product.
Okay.
If you're buying a 750 milliliter bottle of this, it's going to run you a little over $40 in our market.
What's this one?
But this is a 375 milliliter, half the volume, but you can get this at just over $20. So
Not bad.
not bad at all. And while granted, you're only getting half the volume for a little over $20, it's so approachable and it is of a high quality. It has some age on it. It's a good quality product. So this is stop number 1. You keep a 375 milliliter around. We keep a 375 milliliter around. I think it's a great, great pour. Way better, way higher quality than a lot of 80 proof options on the market at a lower cost. And I would rather introduce someone to bourbon with this than anything else because I think they'll actually like this. But it's a great first stop, and I'm strong line on this. This is stop number 1 in my mind for the new bourbon drinker.
Stop number 2.
Stop number 2 is a good classic bourbon. Just a good classic bourbon with a little bit more flavor, a little bit more proof, keeping the price down. And I chose Evan Williams Single Barrel for this. Evan Williams Single Barrel is 86.6 proof, so we're going up 6.6 proof points over Basil Hayden's, and it also has some age to it. This bottle will run you about $30. It's from the Heaven Hill Distillery. It's an 8-year-old product. It's just a very classic, well-aged, well-priced bourbon. It is a single barrel product, which means there is one barrel that is dumped into X amount of bottles. Like one barrel yields X amount of bottles. And so every one of these barrels that yields 200, 250 bottles, that's going to be different from the next bottle that you get if it's from a different barrel. And it even tells you on the back, it was barreled on, and it tells you the barrel number. So if you go to a store, you pick one up, you crack this open and try it, and you really like it, then go back to that same store and buy more from that barrel number if you'd like. Or I think it's kind of fun as a beginner bourbon enthusiast to have a single barrel product that you can kind of try over time, try different variants of the same basic product to see how barrels can change the end product. So in that, you almost get a little bit of a lesson yourself in how the barrel influences the bourbon. I think that's cool. This is from the Heaven Hill Distillery, and I will throw an honorable mention in right now. If this isn't to your taste, if you try it, or if this isn't necessarily available in your market, it usually is in our market, but just in case, with it being a single barrel offering, I'll throw an honorable mention in to Elijah Craig Small Batch. Prior to me getting like super bourbon nerd years ago, like this right here was one that I absolutely loved, especially on ice. Both of these right here are just good classic Kentucky bourbon. Caramel, vanilla, brown sugar, a little bit of oak on the back end, but the proof points are low. This is going up to 94 proof versus the 86.6. which is why I used to enjoy this on ice so much, but it's just, it's such an easy sipping classic bourbon taste. So honorable mention to Elijah Craig Small Batch, but a lot of people put Elijah Craig Small Batch on their list, and I'm trying to bring you guys something a little different for our list here. So we're going to put that to the side, and we're going to stick with Evan Williams Single Barrel.
So would you recommend these as like a journey, like drink these in order, or can anyone try any of these 5 that you're going to put up?
I'm laying it out in order that I think you should try them in. So you start off with your low proof classic bourbon profile. You find out you really like it. You step up to a little bit more proof, a little bit more flavor here. And now we're going to go up a little bit more in proof, and we're going to change the flavor profile a little bit and start stepping outside the classic bourbon box. And we're going to go with something from Maker's Mark. But we're not going to go with the regular Maker's Mark. We're going to go with the Maker's Mark 46.
Which is what I'm drinking.
Which is what you're drinking.
Tonight.
Yes.
It's pretty good.
It is good. And it's very approachable. Bourbon is America's spirit, and it is native to the U.S. And one of the other qualifying factors to be bourbon, to be considered bourbon, is to be made in the United States and to be at least 51% corn as the main grain. So traditionally, the secondary grain after corn is rye for most bourbons, these two included. But Maker's Mark was one of the distilleries early on that used wheat as a secondary grain. And wheat is a little bit softer than rye. So with that comes a little bit softer flavor profile, a little bit more fruity flavor profile. And Maker's Mark with this product, and it comes in at 94 proof, so we're stepping up about 7.4 proof points. You're getting a little bit more proof here, but because of that secondary grain being wheat, it's a little bit softer and more approachable. It has a somewhat of a different mouthfeel. It feels a little bit more silky on the palate. I think a lot of beginner bourbon enthusiasts find wheated bourbons very approachable. And this is a theme that I have seen from both people trying bourbons,
Mm-hmm.
and I've also seen it from people recommending bourbons. This has become kind of like a popular trope to say that, you know, if you want something that's smooth or easy drinking or that doesn't have a lot of spice, to go with a weeded secondary grain for your bourbon, which is the Maker's Mark line, which is some of the Weller products, which have a lot of hype behind them.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't start here though. Again, I would start at the lower proof. This has a little bit more proof, but this doesn't drink very much hotter than this at all.
Yeah.
What the 46 gives you over the standard Maker's Mark is a little bit more spice, a little bit more of like baking spices, not like a burn your tongue up spice, but a little bit more baking spices on it.
That means what?
Just you might feel like you're getting some cinnamon or some nutmeg.
Okay. Yeah.
Those sorts of baking spices on this particular product, which the normal Maker's lacks. The normal Maker's Mark, the bottle that we all know with the red dip top, that is more fruity sweet.
Okay.
And I feel like this has a little bit better balance.
Okay.
And I'm going to have an honorable mention on this product as well, because there's a lot of people out there who have tried a lot of Maker's Mark and maybe even won't drink it ever again because they've maybe drank a little too much in the past.
Too much in their younger years.
Yeah. So if you're just off of Maker's Mark entirely for whatever reason, then look for some larceny. It does have that softness to it. It's almost candy sweet like Maker's Mark, but I feel like it's got a little bit more going on. And I think that the standard larceny is a great stop if you feel like you need to steer clear from Maker's Mark. I still think this is more of the stop that you need to take if you can try it. Plus, look at that bottle. Like, it's a good looking bottle. It's who doesn't I love to look at a good looking bottle, and that's a good looking bottle. I'll give it to that. So you've started here, you've worked your way up here. Now you've worked your way up here. As I said, you've got your predominant corn grain.
Okay.
Your secondary grain is usually rye. If you're handling all three of these really well, maybe you've gone from drinking them mixed in with stuff to then maybe drinking them on ice to maybe just drinking them with a little water. And now you're drinking them neat. And you're ready to take the next step up. I would look for something around the 100 proof point.
Okay.
And there's a ton of stuff out there around the 100 proof point. But what I'm going to recommend you go with is a Four Roses single barrel. 100 proof. This is about $40.
Okay.
I don't think I said that this was about $30.
Okay.
This is about $40. You're stepping up in price a little bit. This has rye as its secondary grain. And
so both of these have rye and this one has rye. This one is
wheat. So as you go up to this one, Four Roses is known for having a very high rye mash bill, which just means it has a lot of rye in the recipe, a lot more than any of these other bourbons up here. What you get with that is you can get a lot more spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, baking spices.
Okay.
You can get more of like a candy sweetness or a citrus sweetness out of it. And as this is a single barrel product, just like this, you're going to get some variance from bottle to bottle.
Okay.
Again, I think that's part of the fun. And I think that this 100 proof variant of the Four Roses single barrel is a great tasting product. I've never had a bad one. I've been a big Four Roses fan for a long time. To me, they're very candy sweet, almost like a hard candy.
Yeah.
I've heard other people say that they're floral. You know, you can get a lot of different things going on in these Four Roses bottles. You're stepping up in price a little bit here. You're stepping up in proof a little bit here. And if it turns out that you buy this and it's a little too hot, try it on ice, try putting water in it.
That's a good rule of thumb in general. If something is a little too hot,
Absolutely.
Put it on ice, and that water will just kind of open it up.
And if you don't like it cold, or you're ready to take that next step up from on ice, add some water to it. Add a capful of water to it. Add 5 or 10 drops of water to it from a straw or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, the only difference between something that's 100 proof and something that's 80 proof is this has just had more water added to it at the distillery to make it 80 proof, because it doesn't come out of the barrel at 80 proof.
Yeah.
There's even really nerdy stats here. It tells you the warehouse number, the barrel number, very similar to how this will tell you the barrel number. You can start tracking warehouses and how those affect the flavor profiles and tiers and all kinds of super nerdy stuff if you want to go down that route. Or
Sounds fun.
Or if you just want to drink it, just drink it and enjoy it.
Yep.
The last option that I'm going to give people for beginner-friendly bourbons is going to seem like I'm crazy. And I'm already running a very unpopular ship here.
Yeah.
And I will say that every list you've ever seen that says to try Elijah Craig Small Batch or Buffalo Trace or 1792 Small Batch or Early Times Bottled in Bond or Evan Williams Bottled in Bond or any of those products, your standard offerings, those are great choices. They're absolutely great choices. I think these are a little bit unique. I think they're a little bit different,
but still approachable.
Still very friendly. So the last bottle for the beginner friendly bourbon is a 116.8 proof barrel proof offering from Wild Turkey.
Oh man.
In rare breed.
I mean, you know I love that. I didn't know you were going to suggest that one. Is that the one you're drinking?
No, I'm drinking Larceny. I'm drinking the Larceny alternative to the Maker's 46.
Gotcha.
But rare breed is beloved by us.
Yes.
We love rare breed. A lot of beginner friendly lists don't put a barrel proof option on it. But if you've started here and worked your way up to here and worked your way up to here and then gone here and now you're handling this, I think your next stop is Wild Turkey Rare Breed.
Okay.
For a barrel proof offering, which means it comes out of the barrel and it's bottled up at that proof, which is 116.8.
Is it always 116.8?
The last few years it's been.
Okay.
Prior years to that, it was a little lower.
Okay.
Future years, it may be a little higher or lower. I have recommended this product to so many people who don't like high proof bourbon, or I have let people try this product that don't like high proof bourbon, and it has always surprised them how easy this drinks for being so high proof.
I agree.
I don't think it comes at you and attacks you like you think a high proof product would, like a high alcohol percentage would. You just get a lot more flavor. And again, if you get this and maybe you're a little timid about venturing into something that's 116.8 proof, try it on ice first. Try it with some water, a cap full of water from a water bottle or some drops or a straw full or something like that. Work your way into trying it, but what you're going to get right here is such a full flavor profile, and I think it is worth exploring this. This bottle will run you about $50, give or take $3 to $5 in almost any market. It's very readily available. All these are very readily available. And I think if you work your way through this entire lineup, and you could actually have all 5 of these bottles sitting on your shelf as your only bourbon bottles, and I think you'd have something.
You'd have a journey.
You'd have a journey, and if you have guests over that want to try bourbon, you've got something at any point in their journey you could introduce them to, and have a great night with any of these products.
Cool.
So there you go, guys. That is our list for our best 5 beginner-friendly bourbons.
All right, so let's do other stuff. What do you got?
All right, so this week for other stuff, we are talking about a milestone for the channel.
Yeah.
If you've looked in the description below, you've probably seen that there is a Patreon link, but we've never talked about it before. While this might seem like a shameless sales pitch, this is something that we've worked together on to offer you guys value. It's your hard-earned money, and we're going to bring this content to you guys regardless for absolutely free here on YouTube. But we want to give you more if we can. And the way that we can do that is by truly value-adding options within a Patreon format. So you have the option to support the channel for as little as $3 a month, and that is strictly support, but every tier above that brings you concrete value.
Let you dive a little deeper.
Yes, you get access to our scoring rubrics, you get access to all of our information that we have, you get access to our database of things that we've tasted blind and the way we've scored them. You can then use that information to reference and influence your next decision at the store. If you know you really like the same sorts of things I like, you can go to that list and see what I've ranked high and try that. Same for Erin. If you align more with her palate, you can go see what she rated high. And then there's always the option, as you step up in tiers, we bring you behind the bar and you get a lot of say in what we produce content-wise for the channel. Your opinions are weighed more heavily. We factor all that in when we're making videos, when we're drafting up ideas, and we want to value the content that you guys want to see produced.
Yeah.
We're going to do our blind tastings. We're going to do our weekly video podcasts, but we absolutely want to hear what your opinions are. There's going to be polls, voting, all that stuff's going to be on the Patreon platform.
A ton of stuff, basically.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of stuff. And then what I'm really most excited about is our bread and butter is blind tastings.
Yes.
That's what we love to do.
Yes, we love it.
And we want to be able to bring that experience of a blind tasting to you guys.
Yeah.
So
we want to share the love.
We want to share the love. So a lot of people haven't done blind tastings, or maybe they have, but they need their spouse to pour it. We want to be able to help you guys and send you a blind tasting kit to where you have the sample jars, you have the scoring rubrics, everything is printed out exactly like we do here. Yep. And you're able to have that experience in your own home. So it's a ton of fun. It's our favorite way to enjoy this hobby.
It's also a really good date night. If your significant other is into that, it's been a really fun thing for us to do as kind of like a date night thing. So that's another idea. Just,
absolutely
throwing that out there.
Absolutely. And it's great. I'm super excited about being able to bring real tangible value to you guys above and beyond. We've talked about this many times. This is kind of my MO. I get deeply entrenched in hobbies and I soak in information like a sponge, as the nerd I am. And then I like to try to give that information back to the community and help other people. This is kind of right on brand for me, but it's also a part of who we are as people. We want to help other people. Yeah. So that's what we're here for, bringing you guys content, bringing you guys information, and the Patreon just lets you get into that information on a deeper level and even apply it to your own life so that you can do this sort of stuff with yourself and start doing it with your friends, significant other on a date night, all that stuff. So we're super excited about the Patreon stuff. So if you want to support us, that's great. That link is below, patreon.com/stuffandwhiskey. That's where our home will be on Patreon. And that's it for other stuff this week. Cool. So looking forward to doing that with you guys who so choose to do the Patreon thing.
Speaking of doing the things, if you like this video in particular, hit that like button. We've got some other ones coming up that I'm really excited to get into, but I think this was a great one. So,
I can't wait for your rye list.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. But also subscribe to our channel if you want to keep seeing content like this. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks for watching, guys. Till next time.
Cheers.